All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Fireside Gamer Stories. We have a special guest today, one of my friends, know him personally in real life. Please go introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm AMD. You can call me AMD or Alec. Been playing games like my whole life and been really into esports the whole time. And yeah, I'm here to talk about games, I guess.
Yeah, we'll be talking about a lot of games today, more also specifically about esports and what's going on, what has happened, uh, where are the new esports competitive games. But before we proceed with the topic, maybe you can let us know what's your first game you ever played and how did it possibly shape your love for gaming?
I remember like playing video games at a really young age because my mom like ran a computer lab at a school. But I don't really remember what. I know the first game like I fell in love and was obsessed with was RuneScape in like 2005.
Yep.
Um, and I played that game on and off for like I guess the last 20 years now. I don't play it anymore, and I hope I don't go back, but I'll probably go back at some point.
The OG games hit differently though. I can relate.
Uh,
I played RuneScape too. Um, so maybe what game are you currently playing now? What keeps you also
um,
coming back to it?
I've been playing as of like a week and a half ago. I started playing the Bazaar, which I'm really enjoying. I think it's just like that game has incredible polish. It's really fun to play. It has a lot of replayability, and I feel like I can keep learning about the game. And it's brand new, so there's like meta's kind of undefined and it's fun. And then the other game I've played like for most of my life now is League of Legends.
Y-
Thankfully I'm like on a break from that game too right now.
Yeah,
Um, but
the
that
game.
game's
Go ahead.
yeah that game is just like I don't know. If you started playing it too young, you kind of just like keep playing it. I guess
I have a word
my
for
friends make
you.
fun of me.
Yeah, it's called
Yeah,
toxic.
yeah,
That, that-
toxic addict.
yeah, the game is very toxic. Uh, but it's very competitive. That's why it's one of the top esports games. You mentioned you started playing the game Bazaar. I know it was made by Reynad, who's basically a owner of Tempo Storm. He was also a professional Hearthstones player. Um, do you think this game has potential to become competitive esports?
I'm not sure. I think it's definitely going to be like a great streamer games. Like there's like more casual like streamers like Northern Lion and Crip that have like been playing it a lot and posting a lot of like videos and stuff about it.
Yeah,
So it already has like that going for it. I think there could be some really cool like competitive ways to like have the game be played. But I'm not 100% sure what they're going to do with it and like how they're going to make it competitive. I know you've been playing it a lot and you like have been playing it since closed beta.
that
Do you think there's going to be like a competitive scene?
that is true. I can only hope because at this point it's been already 7 years since the. Honestly, I mean you can't even count as a successful esports game besides Valorant. But yeah, there was also Apex Legends. So I really hope Bazaar maybe can unlock its potential and become the next top dog in esports, which it might be more unlikely than likely, but we will see. It's just yeah, the competitive esports scene has been stagnating for a while. We're talking about the games that have been already in the pool of top esports games for 10 to 15 years, right? Um, but yeah, I really hope so because I think it's very polished. It has potential. Obviously, there is some RNG, uh, which means a random number generator. Uh, it takes basically away from a skill, like pure skill, and it's luck based, right? Like most of the card games, which is all right because they're designed by the design is like that, right? Um, but yeah. I'm just hoping they start making some small tournaments. Most of the esports games, competitive games, do become successful esports, not because they're forced into it, but slowly, naturally growing the scene, right?
Yeah, I think the game is inherently like fairly competitive, um, because of like you have to win a certain amount to actually like go infinite, especially if you're like not going to pay for whatever the pass is. And like I think that's gonna lend itself to people like tryharding, and then like a big community of people like metagaming and tryharding, and I think that's going to lend itself to a competitive scene if like one happens.
Yeah. Um, Regarding competitive games or esports, is there a game that would you love to revisit or see it in the esports industry, like in the esports scene booming? Maybe like one even you can even think of a very old game that you played when you was young. Do you have any ideas of a game that you'd like
Uh,
to see a successful esports game?
I so most of the esports that I watched um are either still active, like League of Legends is still active, or they're like I watched a lot of like Magic the Gathering. One game that used to have a tournament scene that I really enjoyed and doesn't anymore is Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is like the sub mode of Hearthstone.
Oh,
And like
never heard of one. Interesting.
it's like it honestly feels like it feels like a worse version of the Bazaar now that I played the Bazaar. It's like the Bazaar, but it's not asynchronous, and you have like 8 people, and there aren't like different events. It's just one shop the whole time.
Oh.
Um,
But it's
and
completely dead, like it's not available to play.
no, you can still play the game, but they like lost all competitive
Player
support.
base and support, yeah.
Now there's still like a player base that like competes for elo, but like if you look at the top players, they're like 15,000 elo, and they're often in lobbies with like everyone under 8,000 elo, which is like the cutoff for the leaderboards.
Oh, I see.
So
That, that
it's
makes
like
sense.
they're just getting like 10 MMR for like a second place, and then third place to eighth place they lose MMR, and they're
Fair
just like
enough.
farming. Like I wish that game was like had more people that are at the top level. Like so, there's some players at the top level like Jeef and XQN, I think are the two most notable ones, and like Theater Rabbit, that are really good at the game. And like watching them play, like it's crazy like the skill gap between them and basically everyone else. And I wish the game still had like a bigger competitive scene, so there were more people like try like being that sweaty in the game because
Yeah.
it's just really fun to watch.
What do you think is the reason for games like basically dying out or not having a successful esports competitive scene? Because if you look at the today's industry, right, there's so many games that basically become end up becoming completely flop. Might be alive for a week or two, having like 10 to 20 thousand people online, right? And then suddenly, after 2 weeks later, the game is completely dead with 10 players online. Um, and I'm talking about even like casual games, right? Because we're talking obviously, a game cannot become esports if the casual part is not successful. If it doesn't have a lot of players online, it already won't become probably successful game and therefore successful esports game, right? Because it's all about the player base and viewership. Um, but do you have any idea what is the reason, in your opinion, why so many games just flop, and also why there hasn't then been a new esports game like in pretty much 6, 7 years?
Yeah, I think like I don't know exactly. I think like one of the big reasons is just that like a lot of esports are like already successful. It's kind of like in my mind it might be kind of like Hollywood, where it's like they like to just repeat the success things. So like Valorant is just like a hero shooter version of CS:GO, right? And
Yeah.
it's made by a company that like backed it and popularized it, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And outside of Valorant, we don't really have anything. And I think it's just like no game has become that popular recently. Like the only games that have really like become massive are like Rivals is like was big, I think like a month ago, and I feel like it's fallen off at least in my friend group.
It is
And
definitely is. I thought it's gonna tap into a big esports scene, but the problem is honestly, the problem is with the spectator mode. If the game does not have like it's hard. Like I'll give you an example, right? Let's say Counter-Strike, right? It's a very basic game. There's not a lot of abilities, the screen doesn't get flooded as much. So your grandma can come on live can come online and see on Twitch uh, competitive pro CS players playing against each other, and she would understand what's going on in the game. But the problem with Marvel Rivals and a lot of games, I think, nowadays is the reason of having a bad spectator mode or not being able to deal with what's going on in the screen. You know, if the team fight, let's say it's a competitive team-based game, and suddenly there's like a team fight and abilities are being spammed and the screen is flooded with so much stuff that, uh, it's just impossible to understand. Um, I think that's
yeah,
also
I think that's also the problem with some of these older games though. Like League of Legends used to be a much slower, simpler game, and it was honestly like much more legible for like new players, right?
yes.
Nowadays, like I don't understand if you're a new player how you understand what's happening in professional League of Legends. Like you kind of just like everything's so coordinated and there's so much happening in like split seconds and like you just I guess rely on the casters, but like you don't know what the ability names are, like the casters are shouting at you, like
You don't.
and with new games, like new games have similar levels of complexity, honestly, as League of Legends, and like no one really knows what's going on. You know, I think the other problem that games have in general nowadays is like people have gotten so good at figuring out games and like breaking metas that I, it's like when Overwatch had the like multiple support meta, and then they had to like lock them out of roles, which kind of defeated the game of the or the point of the
Yeah.
original game.
Yeah, that
Like
is correct. That it.
I, yeah, I think it's really hard to make a game that's competitively like viable and like actually sustains an audience. And I think the other thing is just audience retention is really low nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of thing has to do also with the with like I mentioned, the spectator mode and also personalities. I think Fortnite had some potential to become the next esports, but what was the issue is that every tournament there were different Fortnite players, right? And there was literally almost no telling who's gonna be. You wouldn't be able to predict or have your favorite player at that time because you wouldn't even know if he would participate in the next tournament. That's also one of the reasons why esport games are successful because they do have a lot of personality. If you look at CS, Dota, or the same League of Legends, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think you really need those big personalities, but like nowadays, the big personalities that people follow aren't. It doesn't seem like esports pros anymore. It's more just like streamers. Like if you want to watch someone for skill, you're not watching like some guy from Virtus Pro or whatever. You're watching like Shroud.
That is true. I mean,
And
a lot of esports pros have become streamers because it's just simple. It's just a lot more. You can make more money. That's what it is, you
yeah, you
know.
can make more money, and also like I think advertisers at some point like
Yeah,
realize
of
that like
course.
sponsoring a team makes less sense um than just like sponsoring a single player.
Yeah, I
Like
mean
everything has become like personal brand, you know?
yeah, it's not a secret also that esports teams don't really. I mean, organizations they don't really make that much money. If anything, a lot of orgs have canceled themselves basically by having an organization because they ended up making no money. The salary for a player is very high nowadays, and yeah, esports is like if there wasn't for the old games, right, like Dota and CS, like esports would not be in a good place. because, as mentioned before, there's so little new games that have esports potential or has become a, a successful esports game.
And I don't actually think it's really the game's fault. Like, I think, yeah, there's like people have gotten really good at like figuring out metas, like I said earlier. But I think it's also just like there's no one there the communities built around games nowadays are not really built around like teams anymore. Like we said, it's like it's you're not watching Astralis, you're watching like some random streamer, and it's like the streamers switch games so often too. Like remember when Shroud released his game and it looked like this like cool game that like could have like new shooting strategies and stuff? He stopped playing it,
Yeah, I know.
and
Not
now the
only
game got
that,
shut down.
yeah, exactly. The game got shut down. It's
Like
pretty unfortunate. Um, but yeah, uh, I just the market is over flooded. I personally did not like the Shrouds game. Felt like they just took one ability from Valorant and made it a thing as a main thing, you know, and that's it.
yeah, I didn't play it, so I don't know. But I think there's already like two FPS games, right, that have at least two. I don't know if Call of Duty has a massive like player base like competitively, but like competitively, right? To me,
It
there's
does.
Valorant and CS2 now.
Yeah.
For like FPS games, there's like MOBAs, there's like League and Dota. Heroes of the Storm. I'm sorry, buddy. Um,
Rest in peace.
uh, there's like for like strategy games or like cardish games. There's like TFT. There's Magic the Gathering. There's Hearthstone, kind of like these genres already have things. I don't know what RTS games are currently being played. Like I don't know if people are still playing
There's
StarCraft.
a little bit StarCraft, but yeah, RTS unfortunately it's been dead. It's mostly just MOBAs, FPS, and some like sports games, I guess. But there's really, I mean, another topic, but it could be a separate one because it's a big one, is the mobile game esports. Because there are a lot of
Yeah,
games there, like same PUBG or uh, you know, um,
yeah,
what Fire Garena or what was it called? But yeah, that's another whole topic. So there are
yeah. And
different
there's
games,
also
different genres. It just there have not been new ones. It's all the OGs, all the old games, 10 to 15 years. I don't know. Maybe the problem is that game genre. It's like not. It's basically at the point where, like you mentioned, the games have been so established that it's hard to compete. It's almost impossible to compete, right, with the same
yeah,
genre.
yeah. And I think there's those established games, and like every once in a while something new might come out, but it's going to be from one of these big publishers because they
Yeah,
like know how to make a game, how to like market a game. Like Tencent knows more about games than like indie studios. Indie studios don't seem to be interested in making competitive games.
yeah,
like uh, like some of the best games recently that like I've played have come from like indie or like new like things. Like I've been doing like a lot of Slay the Spire randomly because I think it's the best game you can play on a phone.
fair enough.
And like that game doesn't really have a competitive scene, but there's people that are like incredibly good at it.
Yeah,
Um, I think there needs to be. I don't know. I think I think there will be a new game at some point that gets competitive, but like it's probably going to be another game from one of these like big companies. And but it looks to like I'm very surprised Marvel Rivals hasn't like stayed big. um yeah.
yeah. Just when it's been 7 years and we're still waiting. I've been waiting personally. I've been playing and grinding games and trying to rank up and be ready for a competitive scene, but still nothing. But we can only
I do
hope, I
think
guess.
the one area where I think people are still very competitive with like new releases is like fighting games.
Yeah, that is
um
true, but they do die out, or like, you know, uh, they end up basically losing a lot of players in a very short uh, time of period. Um, but I have a question for you. If if you could let me know, what's one moment in a game that gave you the most satisfaction or like achievement feeling? If you have, it
Um,
can be a new game, old game, uh, new times, old times.
I think it's probably like the first time I like 4-0'd like my Friday Night Magic event, which is like it's not like a video game; it's like in paper like Magic cards. But
Okay.
that was like a big one. Or like in video games, it might have been like hitting Diamond for the first time in League was really satisfying. Um,
How old were you?
like 22
Okay.
for hitting Diamond and like 17 for the Magic one, or maybe like when I was a kid and I hit my first 99 in RuneScape, but like I was 8 years old and I bought it, so it was like fake satisfaction
And what maybe
because I was
one
never
of the
actually
more
good.
recent ones?
Uh, like recently, like the only game I've played in the last couple of weeks has been the Bazaar. So recently, it's been like the first couple like perfect victories felt really good. Or anytime like I don't know, I like it anytime a game makes me want to take a screenshot and send it to people.
Yeah, I can
So
relate.
I've
I
been
do the
spamming
same
you with
thing.
screenshots
Yeah.
because you're the only person I know that plays the game.
There'll- I know actually one more guy. He's from New York too. But yeah, we're basically the lone wolves of Bazaar players in New York. I would love to see a Bazaar tournament and we play against each other in the grand finals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. How maybe you can tell us in few words, how do you think personally, in your eyes, how the gaming evolve for you since you first started playing, and where do you see also heading in future? Is it gonna be, is it gonna keep improve? Is it gonna stagnate? Are we gonna see more games? Are we gonna see the industry fall maybe? What is your opinion on it?
I think the industry is going to keep growing. Like video games are like a really cool, interesting art form. Um, and they're just like incredible video games. And I sadly don't play enough of the incredible ones. Instead, I stick myself in like toxic multiplayer games. Um, so I'm hoping like for me personally that I play more like single player games going forward. I think in general, like as I have gotten older, I've become a little bit more like casual with video games. Like I still enjoy playing them and I enjoy being sweaty as I'm playing it, but I don't enjoy like just grinding the same game for like 12 hours straight like I did as a youth, you know?
Yeah. Does not
Like
definitely bring the same joy. Not sure if it's a age problem, but yeah, I can relate.
yeah, I mean like nowadays I if I like even play video games for like a couple of hours straight, like I get up afterwards and my eyes hurt and I'm like, okay, buddy, like you need to go touch grass.
I mean, yeah,
And
can't do those 12-hour marathons no more. The body does
so
get older.
yeah, yeah, the body gets older.
Yeah.
I also think that like um video games have definitely like always been a very social thing. Like I've always played them like starting in like middle school, I would play them with my friends online. And like I still play with some of the same people I've been playing with for like a decade plus now. And I
Yeah.
think that's like the special part of video games, especially like multiplayer video games, is that like you can be like very communal and very social when you play them. You can like join online communities and like play with people you might have never met or people that you've known like your whole life, and it's like fun. Um,
I know
I
personally,
do.
knew someone personally that got married to someone playing World of Warcraft. So not only friends, apparently you can find wives and husbands too.
Yeah, I haven't had any success dating on World of Warcraft, but I also have only played like 2 hours of World of Warcraft. I
Yeah.
wasn't allowed to play World of Warcraft as a child because it was like it cost money to play every month.
Oh yeah, it did. But yeah, personally, the video games have completely shaped my life because,
Yeah,
yeah, I've
me
met
too.
so many people that become friends, and yeah, wouldn't trade it for nothing.
I think I think like a really big part of it is like for like the bigger picture of where I think I see them going is I think like there's always going to be competitive games, and at a certain point, I'm going to be like the like Abe Simpson, like the old guy in The Simpsons. That's like I don't understand what cool is anymore, and that's okay. Like I
I,
think I will probably play League of Legends until the game dies, like at least once a year, just for like old time's sake. And I probably won't know what the hip new game is, but I'll still watch like at least like the highlights from like Worlds every year because like it's something that's important to me and like I don't know. I've gone to see like the World Championships a couple of times now with like friends, and
yeah, it's
it's like it's so much fun.
I can relate again because I personally just prefer esports so much more over sports. It's so much more entertaining for me. I think there's more personality to it, even though it should be on the books, vice versa. But that's how I feel. That's my personal opinion. Um, but yeah, I mean, esports is definitely a part of our lives for sure. We've been following, like you said, since the old times, and yeah, there is no stopping, I guess.
Yeah, I don't see games stopping. Like I do think there's like some weird things happening in games. Like there's those weird crypto games that like have been a thing for the last like couple of years that are like they they'll make people there'll be people that own the like things you can use to play the game that own crypto tokens and they'll
Yeah.
rent them out to people and it's like this weird like online colonialism thing that's happening and I think that's really strange and I hope video games don't move that way because there's like more money in it or something but
No, yeah, I agree.
aside from that like I'm not really worried about the future of video games. I I think the coolest part about like video games, like when you see them come out and stuff, is the just the really cool indie games though. Like and sadly they're not the competitive games that like scratch the itch that I like when I'm playing a video game. But like there's games like Balatro that come out, or like Slay the Spire, or like even like something stupid that I played a lot of like Vampire Survivors that are just made by like one person or a small team and it's like this indie thing and it's just like a
Yeah,
beautiful thing to like play to watch to talk about to people
yeah.
as long as the other people are listening to the game because if not you're just like the really annoying guy in Discord which is currently me with a Bazaar in my friend group
I mean,
but yeah
um, um, one more thing. I was maybe you can tell us how do video games or competitive aspect of it has influenced your real life? Maybe you can give us an example
yeah sure
if it has helped you
so
in some way.
yeah it has in a couple of ways actually so in high school I found out that you could apply to like be a tournament organizer for Riot Games to run League of Legends tournaments. And so what
Okay.
I did was I like my high school League of Legends was so big that they had to like block it on campus.
Okay.
Because everyone would sit in the cafeteria like during school and after school and just play League.
All right.
And so what I did was like I found this out and I applied and I managed like Riot approved me when I was like 12 years old to be a tournament organizer. So I started hosting these like tournaments and I made the be there was like a buy-in. And what you could win wasn't like anything like all the money I went to Habitat for Humanity, but um like what you would win is like if you win any sanctioned League of Legends tournament, you get like a skin called like Triumphant Rise or something.
Okay.
Um, but like that was like big, and I like raised enough money with those tournaments, and I ran them like every year for like 3 years straight. Raised enough money with each tournament to build like 1 to 2 houses.
Okay.
So that was a pretty
You
like
said
big
18 years
thing.
old?
No, this started when I was 12.
Oh, what? 12. Okay, okay.
Yeah, this was in high school. And like it also got me all my service hours for for the IB program, which was pretty
Okay.
great. So like, but it was also just like a good thing to do, and like I made these tournaments up, and I had no idea what where I collected all this money, and I said it was for charity, just vaguely, and then like I had all this money, and I was like, shoot, I have to give it to someone. So I went to the Habitat for Humanity Club and was like, yo, can I join your club? I raised money like 2 weeks ago, but I need to give it to somebody.
That is amazing. That is that's that's a whole thing you can put down on your resume. Even starting
Yeah,
12 years old, that's crazy.
and then Habitat for Humanity actually like heard about this and like gave me an award for it, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
And yeah, so that was like a big time where like I was like, okay, like I can do something with video games that's like cool and fun and community based. Um, and yeah, I would say that's like the biggest time something like that's happened to me.
Have you noticed any improvement with like when it comes to like critical thinking possibly? Like maybe reaction time or any
Oh
other.
God. I mean,
For example,
like
I can give you an example that I think that video games helped me a lot when I played, because I played soccer professionally. I played for a Latvian national team, but the youth one, like under 16. But on my free time, I didn't really do homework. I played video games, competitive ones, and I can tell you that at least for me, I had a huge improvement comparing to like other teammates that I played soccer with. For whatever reason, I was just one of the better in team, and I think also the reason for that is because the video games helped me with the critical thinking and also reaction time. I played as a midfielder, so um, yeah. Have you noticed any improvements possibly?
um, I don't know that I have noticed, but I'm also like a lot less. Um, I do think they've generally helped me with like focus on on the video game itself. Like I'm guessing like my reaction times are better, and I think my hand-eye coordination has always been really good. But I think a big part of that is just growing up playing video games and racket sports. Like those two things,
Yeah.
I think have made my hand-eye coordination really really good.
Yeah, yeah, same here.
Um, and then I think a big part is like I play so many like card and strategy games that like my and I've always been really good at like arithmetic and stuff, but like my mental math is really really good, and I think a big part of that is just like calculating stuff in video games and in card games.
Um, yeah, because if you there is obviously it's been proven. It's not like
Yeah, and
um
like if you look at like a lot of the like new young like super talent like Luka Doncic, like he plays video games.
yeah, a lot
Max
of
Verstappen like
yeah, yeah,
will
yeah. Come
be
on.
late to a race to like ride his simulator because he
Yeah.
prefers the sim. Not
Yeah,
actually, but
exactly.
like yeah.
No, yeah, I talked about this in the last episode, but there's literally a video game. I mean, what is the movie Gran Turismo, where a guy that plays simulated driving game becomes a professional driver,
Yeah,
and
and that makes it accessible too, which I think that's one of the cool things about video games. I think is they're super accessible. Like most people can play video games, like even like online flash ones that are competitive. There's a lot of video games that like nowadays don't like uh CS2 is a bit worse, but like CS:GO for the longest time you could run on like anything. Like you didn't even need a
yeah.
graphics card. You needed like integrated graphics and like two cores. Like these multiplayer games are so accessible and like change people's lives.
I mean
And
that
it's not I don't think it's always for the better. I do think a lot of people like get addicted to video games, but like
that
sometimes it changes their lives for the better.
I mean, yeah, if it wasn't for video games, I wouldn't then would not be the same person I am in a good way, because like it has completely changed my life in a good way. Even when it comes to finances, at some point in time in my life, But yeah, regarding the accessibility, like you said, all these new games they require more better system requirements. However, why I'm talking more about this is uh, to let you know and the viewers and people who will be listening to this, guys, the reason why mobile games are played the most and it has still the most successful esports scene, which is crazy. Yeah, it's mobile games. I'm not sure if you knew about it, but it has the highest prize pools, most players. It has to specifically, obviously, do with Asia, right? Because amount of people living there, and uh, and yeah. But
Yeah,
esports,
and
mobile games is the king. There's
yeah,
there,
and like phones are really cheap, and phones are like the new like laptops. Like I know people nowadays that no longer have computers; they just have their like phone and maybe their work computer, but they don't have like their own computer.
yeah,
And which is crazy because like 10, 15 years ago, people still had like dedicated computer rooms in their houses. You know?
they did. That is true. Um, yeah, there are still internet cafes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
There's a lot of like internet cafes or like war nets or what have you, like PC banks.
yeah.
But yeah, like it makes sense to me that mobile games are more popular. I just like this is one of the times I feel like such a boomer is like I feel old when I use a phone, but I still feel young when I use a computer. Like,
Yeah, same here,
I
same
feel
here.
agile. Like I don't know. I
It's
there's something about it.
yeah, but I think it all comes down to accessibility. That's why that when it comes to specifically at least Asia,
I
that's
also
why.
think one of the really great parts about like video games is like they are like it's literally I think probably the cheapest hobby that you can have. Like one of them.
I see
Like
what you're saying.
there's very little like there are very few things where it's like to play like a competitive video game like let's say League, right? For like the next 5 years, it will cost you like $400 to buy like a computer that you can play League decently.
Yeah,
Like
that is the problem. It's the same. I mean,
yeah.
that's how just the business is designed, I guess, because it's the same with Apple, right? It doesn't matter which phone you have, you still have to update the system, and when you update the system, the phone suddenly starts slowing or breaking down, right? And
Yeah, but the video games don't really do that as much. Like every once in a while
the
there's like
new
a big
ones,
change, but no, not the new ones, but like the ones like once a video game is released, those specs kind of run it for a really long time.
yeah, that is true. Um, that is true. I can at least, from my experience, confirm 5, 6 years should be fine. Obviously, you might have to change settings, lower your settings, but
Yeah, but like the competitive people in these games play on the lowest
no,
settings possible.
and
Like
yeah, and the reason for that, the reason why people play on the low settings is because they want to remove as many variables in game as possible,
yeah,
whether it
and as much
be,
visual clutter.
yeah, exactly, which would be the variable can be also a visual, one of the visual effects.
Like
So
if you want to be better at video games, like just turn off all particle effects you can,
yeah, you just need to
which I
focus.
don't do because I like the sparkles.
If your PC can handle it or your console, obviously, I mean, I would probably play with high quality too, but my PC is limited to that. Um,
Yeah,
so, um, yeah, thank you very much for your conversation. Um, I really enjoyed it. Maybe we're gonna wrap this up. Maybe you wanna give last few words. Maybe you wanna give a shout out. Provide us with your Instagram or social media. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't really have any like public facing social media, but I'll shout out my boy BKB ex Heroes of the Storm professional player.
Thank you. Who's that?
Some guy, you know, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. You should meet him at some point.
Yeah, I'll check him out. All right, thank you so much for being here, and talk to you soon. All right,
Yeah, of course. Have a
all
good one,
right,
man.
take care. Bye.